Hey everyone, this is a guide for all the new players who are just starting their journey on Unlimited WoW Fun server. So, in this video I will assume that you have all the patches downloaded, updated, and the game is running smoothly. If something is not working, better go and troubleshoot it on the website itself. So the first step is going to be to get all the gear from the starter NPC. You'll want to equip all of them because each one provides stats, even the shirts, tabards, and the bags. It's best to start with bags because they provide you with more space. Be sure to also purchase a Berserker Scroll from the NPC, as it will provide you some great DPS boost throughout your entire journey in Unlimited WoW. Now it will be a good time to learn all your talents. Just go and pick each one of them, you'll have enough, and even some left over after you've picked all of them. The next step would be to go to the trainer and learn all the spells. After you've done that, you should get familiar with the buffer. This will be your main NPC after each death or in the beginning of each dungeon run. First of all, he removes Resurrection Sickness, which would usually nerf you by 75%, but in the case of the server, you can just fully ignore Resurrection Sickness, as it can be removed practically anywhere. The next thing that buffer does as well is it gives you buffs. Some of them are very nice and useful, and he also can heal you, which is useful, like in my case, as I am a mage. I don't really have any healing spells. And I also forgot to buy Gracious Mince Meat Fruitcake, which is a very useful food, which restores 5% of your health per second. Especially for people who don't have self-healing, like mages, rogues, warriors. And finally, as the last step for your preparation, you will want to check with your class trainer for any unlearned spells. Some classes don't get all spells learned or leveled to the maximum level, so better check it in case you missed something. So, after all this, you're pretty much ready to start farming, but I would also strongly advise you to visit this building, where you will find your glyphs for your class. There are vendors for each class, like I'm a mage, so I go to a mage vendor. There is also a death knight nearby, a shaman, and so on. Next to glyph vendors, you'll find custom enchants, which you will be able to get further on down the game. I wouldn't advise bothering with these until you're at least tier 12. And custom gems. Next to those, there are meta gems, and I would very strongly advise you get all of your meta gems all the time. You also need to check that they're activated. So for example, like this one, it requires 2 blue gems, so you will need to buy 2 blue gems in the vendors next to it. Or you can also get prismatic gems, they count as all gems. Each meta gem requires different amount of different colored gems, so read the description. It's not that hard. So yeah, now it is a good time to teach you some server commands. The one you'll want to use once is called max skill. It will increase all your weapon skills to the maximum level, and you can just forget about it after that. The next one is .i space u space all. This is the command to reset dungeons. It will be very important during your farming. Now we are teleporting to tier 1, and usually in front of the dungeons there are going to be quest givers, which will provide you with the next tier armor or weapons. So you'll just pick up all the quests and go into a dungeon and farm all of the materials required for the quests. There's also a tier 1 weapons, but I would advise you to skip it, as you're going to be using different kind of weapons as your first tier. Inside of the dungeons there are also quest givers, they may be duplicated as well, and nearby there is a combat cleaner. In case you ever it happens that you're stuck in a combat and you can't use your Hearthstone, you can't eat, you can't do any of that, you can talk to a combat teleporter, the combat clearer, and he will clear your combat. So now I've killed a bunch of mobs and they dropped the materials which are required for the quest, as you can see here. Usually it is the case that the materials required for the quest are inside of the same dungeons where you picked it up. Sometimes it is not the case, for which I would advise you to constantly check wiki if you're missing on something. I've provided a table there which lists all the materials available in the game, which have the description of where to gather them, what you need it for, as well as the name, and yeah. So now I'm gonna kill a big group of mobs, and this is a good time to tell you about mass looting. So I'm gonna loot one mob here, and all the objectives are instantly complete, and as you can see, I've looted all the mobs in the area. Now I will just run back to give my quest for the armor piece. I will skip farming all the armor pieces which are needed, and I will go straight to the weapon farm, as this is the point of the video, not to farm here with you. Usually it is required, like the tier above requires you to have all the armor pieces of the tier below. Sometimes it is also a requirement for offset pieces like bags, rings, trinkets, and a neck. So you'll want to pick custom zone, and there you'll want to pick element zone. This is one of the hardest beginners farm, as it is an open world farm. And here you will see 4 vendors, most of which sell 3 tiers of weapons. You'll want to start with just fire weapon, then upgrade it to fire 2, upgrade it to fire 3, and do the same with the nature weapons. Water is only 1 tier, and metal is also only 1 tier. You'll find elements which drop the respective element which is needed for your current tier just outside. So there are going to be fire elementals here, nature elements, water elementals, and metal elementals. After you've gathered your metal weapons, you're ready to proceed to tier 2. And that is mostly everything you need to know about the server, at least to start. If you are stuck at some point or anything, there is a text guide available on the wiki, which I've made myself, as well as all the additional information regarding enchants, custom gems, where to gather mats for them, and all the rest. So just visit the wiki. In case you don't find the answer you are looking for there, ask in the world chat. You can do it by typing --join --world, and yeah, you will just farm tiers until the end, and the final tier is usually the group 1, so you will need like at least 3 people to progress there, as mobs hit really hard and they have a ton of health. That's it for me. Hopefully you enjoyed this guide, hopefully it helped you, and don't forget to like the video and hopefully subscribe, and see you again in the future. Goodbye.